in advance for your help. I believe, yeah, I believe we have a quorum. Can you confirm that, Jay? It looks like we've got 5 members present.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
All right, good. We'll nail that down by well, first off, I will call this meeting to order. It's about 6:32, and we will take roll call and also use that as a chance to introduce yourself to the to the listening or viewing public. I will begin. My name is Tom Sharp. I'm the chair of the Community Preservation Committee, and I represent the city on the Conservation Committee. So, Cindy, do you want to introduce?
Certainly. I'm Cindy Gaylord. I am chair of the Historical Commission for Westfield.
Thank you, Cindy. Dan?
Dan Kelly, Executive Director of the Westfield Housing Authority, representing housing.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dan. Bill?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Porter. I'm at large representing the citizens of Westfield.
And Mike?
Hey, everybody. Mike Thorell. I'm the chair of the Park and Rec Commission.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Joe, did I see Joe? Is Joe Muto with us? I thought I saw, I didn't see a picture, but I thought I saw he was here.
He was.
Joe, are you out there? Richard, are you out there? John Bowen, are you out there? All right, by my count, we have a quorum with 5 people. Myself, Dan, Cindy, Bill, and Mike. Have I got that right? Does that sound about right from the faces you guys are looking at? I swear I saw Joe Muto. Anybody else see his name pop up?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yep.
Is it still there?
No.
He's just checking on us, huh? Actually, Joe puzzles me a little bit, Jay. I keep meaning to reach out to him, but I think I asked this question when we last got together, if he continues to have interest in serving on this committee. Valuable, way valuable guy, but we haven't seen him in quite a while. Could you do me a favor, Jay, and reach out to Joe and find out if we should alert the mayor that there's an opening on this committee? Oh, perfect. Hey, Joe.
Still connecting.
Joe Muto, are you there?
So you're showing is on mute.
On mute. All right. Well, perhaps he's listening in. We will not include him in as a member until he verbalizes. But let's begin.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, did that unmute me? Am I in? I did. Okay. This is my first Zoom meeting. So
Fantastic. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
I'm well. How are all of you? Why is there no video? You do not see me.
Up top. There you are.
Here we go. So let's go this way. Let's go that way.
Outstanding.
Hey. Hello. Haven't seen any of you all for a while.
Yeah, nice to see you, Joe.
Yes, likewise. Good to see you all.
I was just asking Jay if he would give you a call. It's been so long since we've had the pleasure of your company. So it is delightful. I'm glad you've zoomed in with us and are going to be able to participate tonight.
I'm afraid I'm not up to speed with any of the things going on, but I am sitting in.
Joe, if you need to slow us down at any point, please do that. That goes for any of the commissioners. If there's any questions, I don't. The formality is not important to me. More important that we have a good, thorough discussion on these items. So we now have 6 members of the committee, and I will ask, we always begin these meetings by asking if there's public participation, an opportunity for people that may be out there listening to ask us what they might need to ask us. Is there any public comment this evening? In that case, we will move on and talk about our minutes. We have two sets of minutes. The four, we met on April the 8th and we met on April 21st. Let's take these as separate meetings and discuss the meeting minutes of the 8th of April 1st. Everyone had a chance to read them, I hope. If so, were there any additions or corrections or comments?
No, what? Tom, just real quick,
Yes.
no issues or anything. Just want to say, nice job to Chris. Thank you for putting those together. They look great.
I second that.
All right, good. I certainly, and I said it to, or when we met last, but I appreciate Jay and Chris obliging us by getting the minutes out within a 2-week window after our meeting. I find it extremely helpful to review the minutes while they're sort of fresh in my mind. So thanks to both of you guys for doing that. Jay, I thought, do you spell your name two different ways? I didn't know. I swear on emails that I'm receiving them from a VINSKY, but the minutes have an E in your name. Care to comment?
I only spell it one way, but other people might.
Oh, all right. I thought this was coming directly from you. I may just be confused, and I'll straighten myself out after the meeting. So we have minutes that were submitted to us, and we like them, and we thank you. The ones we're talking about are April 8th. Are there additions or corrections? In that case, let me seek a motion to approve. Someone want to give me a motion?
Make a motion.
Mike, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Cindy. Motion and a second. Discussion. In that case, all in favor of approving the minutes of April the 8th, please indicate their approval by saying aye. Nope, I can't do that. I can't do that. We have to do this roll call. So I'm going to vote first. I'm going to vote yes to approve the minutes. I'm going to ask Dan to vote second.
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike, Mike, and
Yes.
and finally Joe. So
Chair, I'm going to abstain because I wasn't present at any of the meetings for quite some time.
understood. Joe abstains from the vote. The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Second set of minutes, April 21st. This was our, I don't know if emergency is the right word, but this was our special meeting that we had just to wrap up the approval for the cleaning and maintenance of the cemetery markers, historical markers. I think it was like the shortest meeting on record. Peter, have you ever had a meeting that went 11 minutes? Okay, all right. We may have the world record here, folks. Everyone had a chance to read it. These are the 10-minute, 11-minute meeting was not too comprehensive. Any question on the minutes? Any additions or corrections? Anybody want to give me that motion? Thank you, Mike.
Just real quick, no comments on the minutes. I don't know if folks got a chance to see the work that was being done as the result of that vote. But they've done a great job downtown with the General Shepherd monument. I don't know if they've done the other ones yet or not. Cindy, no, okay.
No,
Yeah,
the laser, they had a problem with the laser. So he has left Westfield for a week, and as soon as the laser is repaired, he'll be back to work in Parker Park, Pine Hill, and then the Civil War statue opposite the Athenaeum. But
Yeah, so, I mean,
yeah.
Really impressive stuff. If anybody hasn't seen the pictures on Facebook or have been by it, you should do yourself a favor and stop down and take a look at it.
And
Anyway, that's it.
thank you, Mike, for saying that. And please go while he's working on it. He is very open to discussing what he's doing And it is a fascinating process. Both my husband and I have stopped numerous times and brought them iced tea, and they work from 6 a.m. until about 9 p.m. at night. And it took 5 days for the General Shepherd statue.
That being said,
Yeah, go ahead,
Tom, that being said, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as well.
And I'll second them.
Motion and a second. All in favor of approving minutes of 4/21/21. Please respond when I call your name. Tom, I'll vote yes to approve the minutes. Dan,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Joe.
I will abstain again.
Okay, with one abstention, as noted, the minutes of 4/21 have been approved. Number 3 on our agenda, review of budget and funds. Jay, this is where I lean on you.
Okay. So we're in the new fiscal year, so our monies are replenished for each of the categories. So that's 50,000 each in housing, open space, and historic. And our undesignated appropriation for the fiscal year is 320,000. So that, plus we're working with some leftover monies from the last fiscal year in housing that didn't get spent, and then some monies over the years in the balance, although we won't be able to access that until the fall, so that money's certified.
Yeah, Jake, can you, this, last minute request, but can you display that? Can you share that so
Yeah.
we can look? Thank you.
So that's kind of how it looks.
So
Again,
on July 1st, Jay, we received an additional $50,000 in each of these 4 categories. Is that correct?
right.
No,
So
in-
new fiscal year, these are new allotments for this fiscal year. And we spent everything from last year except for housing, and then what's left over the many years.
So my math could be better, but we've got maybe, what do those balances add up to? About 900,000?
Yeah, give or take.
I looked, when I was preparing for tonight's meeting, I looked into past minutes, and a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, we had about 1.5 million. Does that sound accurate, Jay?
Yeah, we were something like that.
All right. So my point is, I'm just raising the observation, or making the observation, that in the last year, we've spent about 600,000 of our cash in the bank, of our balance. So I mentioned that to you. We had 1.5. We now have about 900,000. Any question on the budget? In that case, Jay, thank you for sharing. Please take that down. And I assume there were no questions on budget. In that case, let's jump right into the canal study. Hamden, Hampshire Canal Study. It's a request for $18,000. We heard a little bit about this when we met when we met 3 months ago. Do we have are the canal people here? Are either Eric or Shannon here? Oh, hi, Eric.
Yeah, Eric and Shannon are both here, and we've reduced the amount to 15,000. It's no longer 18, it's 15.
So the agenda is incorrect, or?
Correct.
And
And Eric and Shannon will speak to that, I hope.
take it away, Eric and or Shannon.
Eric, you're muted.
I was going to say, this is Eric. Shannon sounds a little different than I do. So the 15,000, there are 6 communities that are part of what we're trying to do with this study, stretching from Northampton down to Southwick, and all the communities in between, because that's the path of the canal. And we had determined that the total cost to pull together a historical study, and we've written a full-fledged RFP on it, which took quite a while to develop. It has been reviewed by the state Mass Historical Commission, is that we would distribute the money evenly between the 6 towns at $15,000 each. And that would be the towns of East Hampton, Northampton, Russell, Southampton, Southwick, and Westfield. So if you do the math says it's 15,000 per town, of which 82,000 would go towards supporting the consultant to do the study. And I'll let Shannon speak to the details of the study in terms of the data that needs to be gathered if you so request. And that 8,000 would be to continue to support the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission with the whole process of working with Westfield and the other 5 towns to make sure that this goes smoothly, the hiring goes smoothly, the process goes smoothly, the study goes smoothly, and you have something at value at the end that can be submitted to the state that provides the type of information that is required to move this project ahead. This project has a long history. And we're right now at a really crucial point of moving it ahead for the benefit of the towns. I know that Southwick already has the money in place. I know that we're trying to make sure that the towns line up to make sure they get the money in place so we can move this ahead. I don't know the exact documents you have in front of you, but again, the request to support this RFP process and to hire a consultant to carry this forward is 15,000 for the city of Westfield.
So, Eric, just to wrap up, or just to remind us, what's your objective here?
I'm going to let Shannon speak to that.
Good evening, Shannon.
Hi, everyone. This is Shannon Walsh. I'm the Historic Preservation Planner for the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, for those of you I haven't met before. We're excited. Thank you for having us back here to talk about this project tonight. The objective is to build upon countless amounts of previous efforts documenting this canal from the 1800s and to move it forward as a cohesive project, a regional collaboration to formally document it from one end to the other. As many of you may know, there have been efforts in the past. This time we started with the state because early 2000s, there was a big project to document the canal that involved some of the communities, but the state came back and said, the documentation doesn't meet our standards, but also we need all 6. We need everywhere that the canal went through to be a participant. So we started with the state to really pin down what they're looking for. And what this amounts to is an archaeological reconnaissance survey. So to understand where the canal was and existing conditions to see what is left. And then also to document the buildings and other built resources along the way. Like in Southampton, for example, Lockville, there's a section that the canal went through that actually is on the National Register. So we want to cohesively document the entire length. Part of the RFP we put together has a very comprehensive bibliography from each of the municipal areas involved so that the consultant's not going in and reinventing the wheel, but building upon all the previous documentation that's come before.
And the one thing that I forgot to add is that so far the town or the city of East Hampton has put up the money, as has the town of Southwick. Northampton is in process, and Southampton is looking at like an early fall town meeting for their CPA money to be put forward for this. So it is moving ahead well. It is a really unique project, one that I'm proud to be part of. So.
And you asked about end products. Like we said, archaeological reconnaissance is one of the elements, which involves permitting, and that there really needs to be a special type of consultant to do that. That's why the RFP is so very detailed. Also, mapping was a stumbling point before. So we've been lucky to have the Northampton GIS coordinator, James Thompson, take all of this data that we've been sending him. We've been going out and taking pictures, getting geolocational information. Cindy and I did a great field trip recently from between Westfield and Russell. And he has taken these earlier maps done by historian Carl Walter and did an overlay on a topographical map to current GIS maps to the information we were sending him. And what the state wants is to understand which parcels it actually runs through now, because some of it's private property, some of it's municipal. But being able to give a consultant this digital map before they even get started is huge. And then the end product will be for them to really fine tune the mapping. And we're asking them to also use LiDAR imagery, which is becoming more available. Yeah, so I think it'll be a useful tool for each municipality just to really understand what is there and where it is.
The last thing that I'd like to add on is that so far approximately $30,000 worth of DLTA, which is District Local Technical Assistance money, has been put towards this project through a grant program through the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, which basically allows Shannon and I to work with everybody. It's a program that I manage for the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And this is such a unique regional project that we also got money approved for this fiscal year to help shepherd this through the bid process. So we're not looking for any money until the bid process is done in terms of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. We are looking for money from the towns to support the bid process so that we can say the bidders, the money is in place. But like I said, I don't think there's a project that is as unique as this one in terms of trying to protect and discover historical value the way that this one is. And we have some really strong people behind it in all of the communities, citizens advocates who are really hoping that we can move this ahead.
And speaking to that, Eric, I think I forwarded to all of you the letters of support from Northampton, East Hampton, and Southampton. You should have gotten them in an email today. And also, if any of you would like to see some of the remnants of the canal, it really is fascinating. And as Shannon said, we trooped through hill and dale to find these different parts. And some of them are very, very visible, but you just have to know where to look for them. So I'd be happy to show any of you parts of the canal.
We also think this is important to get, I'm sorry, I'll just say this real quick, as some different cities and towns are working more towards developing rail trail areas. Some already are developed, some are working on it. Some of the rail trail areas overlap with where the canal was. So we think it's also good to just really understand where it was as moving forward on those projects as well.
So Shannon, this $100,000 or $90,000 that you're trying to raise will be to seek, you're trying to leverage that money through some and put it into grab some kind of state grant. Am I understanding this correctly?
Why don't I read you item 1 out of the specification that describes what it's for?
Thank you.
I don't mean to bore you, but the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission wishes to receive proposals for a consultant to conduct a collection of historical data in regards to the Hampshire-Hamden portion of the New Haven and Northampton Canal System for the communities of East Hampton, Northampton, Russell, Southampton, Southwick, and Westfield in Massachusetts. Under the guidance of the PVPC Historic Planner, the consultant will act as the principal investigator to conduct the formal collection of historical data on the section of the canal running through Hamden and Hampshire counties. The consultant will collect data at the municipal and regional levels. So that's the intro to the bid spec. It's a very unique group of people that will be doing this work.
Okay, Eric, I still don't get it. You're going to raise $90,000 and you're going to try to leverage that and get a state grant. Am I understanding? Or not?
No,
this $90,000 will be the complete project.
Right. The idea is that the $90,000 covers the cost of the consultant plus, like I said, $82,000 for the consultant and $8,000 towards the time that would be spent once the bid is in place, once the consultant is in place, to work with the towns to keep the process moving properly in terms of documentation and process. So the grant monies that have been put in place already, the DLTA grant monies, those are real grant monies that have been supporting us to get to this point. That's approximately $30,000.
So this $90,000 will provide some kind of mapping, some kind of.
So if I could jump in, so it would be an archaeological reconnaissance survey through all 6 municipalities involved along the length of the canal. So that's one piece. So a typical reconnaissance survey, that's why we were having a hard time initially coming to the amount, because Mass Historical Commission does survey and planning grants every year. A typical townwide reconnaissance survey is $30,000, but this is through 6 municipalities, but it's targeted. Reconnaissance survey is one piece. It has to be archaeological. It requires permitting because it's archaeological in nature. Another piece is, and it's all in the specs, which I think in the RFP document, which I believe Cindy provided you, or maybe could get to you all after the meeting. Another piece is above ground documentation. So some of the areas still have buildings and other built remnants of the canal that are still intact or still there. So just connecting all those dots. And then a third piece is this mapping that we're asking the consultant to build upon what James Thompson from Northampton has started and finalize the map, but also use elements such as LiDAR, which can detect. We had a great presentation recently about LiDAR and being able to detect stone walls, even though maybe they're not visible. So LiDAR is an amazing tool that wasn't available in the past when they were trying to document. So those are the main elements: the archaeological reconnaissance survey, the entire length, being able to also document existing above ground resources and tie them all together. And then the third piece is mapping.
Yep. And is there a phase 2? I mean, is this intended to motivate the municipalities to put up some kind of signage, maybe try to acquire properties that are I mean, is there a game plan beyond the survey?
Yeah, well, ideally, and anything with, I guess with most things, you have to begin with understanding what you have in documentation. Just like a master plan, you look at everything that exists in a municipality and then what potential future next steps could be. So this is the first step. I know that the end goal ultimately would hopefully be to make this portion of the canal on the National Register, which would connect to the entire Connecticut section of the same canal that is on the National Register. And they've really been able to do nice things with that. So this is just the first step. So I would say phase 2, yes, understanding what's there and documenting it. And also documenting it is important because of anything with state or federal funding that would get reviewed by the state. Like I keep using Northampton as an example. They had the roundabout that was about to go in, or something like a roundabout, and they discovered there was a Native American burial ground there, or a Native American village that had been there. And it kind of stopped things and slowed down and like, let's look at what we have here and what can we do to mitigate damaging this area. So you can't really, unless you know what is there, you can't best plan for the future. So I would say, yes, this is a first step, but where it will go from here just kind of depends on the results of this project. Each municipality will have it for their future planning, which is a great tool.
Yes. Does certification by the feds, does that offer any kind of protection to the properties that comprise the canal?
It can, if it comes to like a Section 106 review or a MEPA environmental review process. If there is something there and there's a project using state or federal funds that could adversely impact it, then yes, it could potentially protect it. But if there's no documentation, then no. So that's why it could be a useful tool in that sense.
And Tom, may I answer your question about signage? Bob Madison from Southwick has written a book about the canal, and he's used some of the proceeds to provide signage to each of the towns that have parts of the canal in it. We've already installed 2 of those signs in Westfield, and he has plans for many more signs.
Yeah, there's one on Root Road, right? I see it when I bring my kids there for soccer.
Yes. And then there's one right on Shaker Road.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, commissioners, any questions for our applicants?
I don't have.
To Chair, go ahead, Dan.
Well, I guess my question would be, I briefly read the communication from the city solicitor, and I was going to ask Jay. I meant, this is what we talked about, I think, the last time they presented this. I meant, does it fall? Obviously, Southwick must assume that it falls under the archaeologists or whatever. I'm just. She said it's currently up to us, I think. Am I reading that right?
Mm-hmm.
To determine if the funding is used for that?
Right, so it would
Making sense?
would need to fall under the category of preservation, and CPA defines that as to protect from harm or destruction or something. So if this committee can interpret the study as preserving, then it would qualify. Obviously, other communities are pursuing this route, but the city solicitor basically said it's for this committee to decide that definition.
That's exactly what East Hampton did in improving it. They saw it as a historical preservation piece.
Yeah, and it really is, it is handled differently in each municipality, but as I mentioned, some of the large state grants, the survey and planning grants by the Massachusetts Historical Commission, which are purely inventory work, a lot of municipalities that go for those, their matching grants come from CPC funding. So it just depends on the pleasure of your committee.
And you need to know the work that's been involved too in this. Eric and Shannon have been involved for 1.5 years. Is that right? 2 years?
As have you.
Yeah, well, you much more than I. And I believe all of the communities have to approve this for it to go through. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I think it may be pointed towards Shannon, but I'm not sure. So how if Connecticut has had it in place for a while on their canal, has there been direct benefits for communities?
I think so. They seem to really use it as a marketing tool from the limited things I've done looking into it. And they call it the Farmington Canal. They connect it to their rail trails. They have a more a longer length. I think we're still connecting the dots a bit in Massachusetts.
Yes.
So I think that they have done well with marketing it and really honoring the past, but also using it for the present.
People who like to do historical tourism of any kind look for things like a canal, like this, or like the canal in Connecticut or whatever. You go out towards Boston, you see things like this. So it's that kind of tourism. It's that kind of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's also beautiful. So the Southwick portion, when you're walking along their path there, the canal is right to your right. It's right there. It's filled with water. So it's neat. Just as I've had the benefit of going through a lot of the different municipalities with representatives like Cindy or Lee Hamburg in Southwick or Bob Kozub in Southampton, and just seeing, even though it looks different in each town, it's important to the people who live there. And we've had the extreme benefit of having the canal historian, Carl Walter, working with us on this project. He knows more about this canal than anyone alive. And we're talking with him about potentially doing his canal talks, helping him to record his canal talks really for archival purposes, because he has these 5 talks and he included Russell in the Westfield talk that he used to do locally. Maybe some of you have heard of them or been to them in the past, but he came out with Cindy and I on the Westfield Russell tour, and he knows everything about the canal. And so it's great to have him involved with this.
It sounds like he's a phenomenal resource for the project.
He's agreed to do a lecture. If you remember our 350th lectures, Carl, which we're hoping to resurrect now that COVID is over, he's agreed to be one of our speakers, maybe several times, because there's so much to talk about in the canal. And he's truly remarkable what he knows.
Yeah, I think there was a historian who documented the canal last in the 1930s, I believe. So he is the person after him who's carried the torch until now. And it's been great. And we put that in the RFP, that it's crucial for whatever consultant takes this project on, that they work with him, because he can answer all of their questions.
Right.
Hey, Mike, did you have a contribution?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe mention, we're talking about preservation as one of the criteria here, and determining, that is one of the end results. And, based on what Shannon said, it's difficult to preserve something, as she said, if you don't know it's there and you don't know where it goes through. And the fact that the city will have this at their disposal, each of the municipalities will have this at their disposal, so that they can preserve it in the event that they're doing something on one of those plots of land. And clearly, it would identify every plot of land such that it goes through, such that if there's a permit put out or something like that, that this would be recognized, and we'd have that resource available to us. I personally have spent a fair amount of time looking through for canal stuff. It's been a sort of a little bit of a hobby of mine. I did read Bob Madison's book, and I think every day that goes by, a little bit of it deteriorates. So I think the more that we can do the sooner the better, to be able to preserve that. It's a pretty interesting piece of history in the town. So I'll be voting to support it. Hope everybody else will as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Hi, Bill. What do you got?
Hi, Mr. Chairman. My question is for either of you. When this study is complete and these maps are, will this be readily available to the public?
Some of it will. We went back and forth with this over MHC. So the archaeological piece is sensitive. They don't make that publicly available, but it will be available related to anyone who, I think you have to go to the state and ask for, you have to have special criteria because they don't want, with archaeological things, obviously they don't want people knowing where things are necessarily. But I would say the map will be available, understanding where the canal goes. But maybe understanding that there's certain stones or certain things that somebody might go and want to take. There's kind of a fine line, but as much that can be publicly available in the spirit of the law about that will be, and the municipalities will have access.
Can I chime in about something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I missed where the canal started and where it ends. The canal that you guys are discussing.
So ultimately it started in New Haven, Connecticut and went up to Northampton.
Okay, so Northampton. So I do know something about this canal. And that canal came in, it was only there for 2 years. And it came in under Calvin Coolidge Bridge and it came down, and that's why the corner is like that on Bridge Street School. And that's where I went to school. And I have excavated down there before Fitzwillies and everything, okay? And I actually have glass bottles in my house. I have silver spoons. That thing that washed out, one of the first houses where Tristan Metcalf here was actually on historical for 10 years. His son actually owns a house where the two women cut it in half because they couldn't agree about who gets the house. So they actually cut it in half, and it was one of the first ends. So we actually excavated along this, and nobody knows that. When I went to Edgar Church, nobody knew that the railroad was going to come in 2 years later. Okay, I grew up at the fairgrounds. That's where we're from. We played in the tunnels. We went from the cemetery through houses next to Bridge Street School. They run right through there. They go to Union Station, the bar. They go all the way up to the State Hospital. During the Civil War, they did not walk people down the street missing limbs and stuff. They stopped near Roberto's restaurant. They went in there, and those tunnels run all the way up on top of the hill. Okay. I mean, there's a gravestone in there. I could show you a picture of it. And it says, when you're drawn in my tomb to view, remember here, there's room for you. And I actually have artifacts because I had a permit to dig down there along that. And that whole section, when they opened that up in there, it was like you flushed. I'm not going to say everything went that way. And it lasts 2 years. And that's absolutely, and it ran through there. And you think they just built the tunnel bar or Union Station, the catacombs, that's all they did? Those granite catacombs run through there. And when we get to our project on Lamson, we actually have the chandelier, thanks to Professor Phil, from Union Station. That's in every picture back into the 1700s. When you went and got on that train, it's at the farm I own that was built in the 1790s. Okay, so those canals, I know those canals personally. And they run through, and there's probably very few people that ever went into them through the cemetery, and I have when I was a kid. And they run right through here, so I can vouch for you on all that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Gene.
Yeah.
Hey, Cindy, you ought to line that guy up to be one of your speakers for the.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
And a lot of the sections where the canal, the water is gone, you could still see the towpath evidence is still there. And in Russell, you could still see the borrow pit where they had, dug everything out to build the towpath. It's still, there's still evidence of it. So it's pretty amazing. All the
we
work
found
went into
muskets
it.
in buildings. We found muskets right next to Bridge Street School up in the chimneys, and they bricked in. And there were people that were still in there because they were afraid the redcoats were coming back. And we've actually, we have.
Well, Cindy and I found pretty cool old doorknobs.
We
the
did.
whole intact
Yeah.
that I just could imagine they fell off of a barge and just
So the
laid there
best person to talk to is Trish because he owns the land. His son does right
well,
next
and
door.
that's part of
Doug-
why I know Mass Historic has been reluctant because it is a big process when you're talking about private property. So we also hope as if the canal talks can be a part of this, as part of outreach, to explain to property owners, this is not about taking your property. It's not about reducing your rights. It's just about understanding where this incredibly locally, historically significant canal.
I'm going to
ran.
chime out on that, but Trish Metcalf spent 10 years trying to negotiate with Northampton about these tunnels in the church on King Street. And it's a sore in his side. And I'm telling you, you're talking to a guy that knows more than anybody about this. And that's exactly what it was about. So anyways, back to your meeting.
Yeah,
But-
back to our meeting. The
Yeah.
question before us is, do we want to authorize $15,000 to be one of the local communities in support of a canal survey in the, with the goal of seeking National Register status? What Dan pointed out, Dan nailed it when his first comment. We asked when we talked about this before, we thought it'd be wise to seek counsel from our attorney. And what she wrote back in a nutshell, and I'm going to read it, is that what we need to do is we need to determine that the funding request is appropriate, and that the funding approved for the archaeological survey is not only sufficient to preserve the asset, which is what Jay keeps telling us, we have to preserve the asset, but we also have to consider the potential for placement on the register, on the National Register, although that is without any guarantees or interest in land, that placement on the register will be sufficient to protect our investment. So that's the question before us. Do we think?
Calvin's Coolidge's office was at
Yeah.
Fitzwilliams.
Okay, come on, Art. So
But that's the
you're
canal.
gonna have your turn there, buddy. Hang on for me.
So that's
Hang on.
okay.
So do the commissioners have any further comment on this request for $15,000? Do the applicants want to make any further points? In that case, the appropriate thing might be to for me to entertain a motion to approve the $15,000 request. Anybody want to sponsor that motion? Cindy?
I would like to make a motion to approve $15,000 to be put toward the archaeological study of the canal project.
I'll second it.
Motion by Cindy, a second by Mike. Jay, this would come out of unexpended, is that right?
Well, we have 50,000 now in historic, so if you want to pay it out.
So we could actually take it right out of that pot? Okay. There's a motion and a second to approve $15,000 out of the historic budget to authorize this canal study, this canal survey. Is there further discussion? In that case, let's vote on it. Dan?
Yes.
Ann votes yes. Cindy?
Yes.
Bill?
Sorry. Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
I will also vote yes. So this motion carries. Shannon, Eric,
I'll just note that,
thank you very much.
Rich
I'm
is
sorry.
here. Rich is here as well.
Oh, Rich, hi.
I'm a yes too.
Excellent.
Yeah, I
Thank you,
snuck
Rich.
in late. Sorry about that, people.
No problem.
All right, good. So we've made it a super majority. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Eric. Good luck. And I like Mike and like Cindy, and the others, I'm excited to see this come to have some results. So keep after them.
Will do. Thank you very
all
much
very much. We
for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Eric. Thank you, Shannon.
Have a good night.
Good night. We'll move on to the Lamson Furniture Building. This is a second request. Actually, Jay, if you don't mind, maybe I could get you to help us understand what's happening here in terms of the request itself. I looked at the application, and it's frankly, I'm not sure how much money they're seeking. It says $250,000, but in the body of the letter, there's some other numbers that are kicked around. Do you have a better understanding, Jay, of what the applicant is asking for in terms of dollars?
Well, I'd probably defer to the applicant. I just took the 250 off the cover page of the application.
Jay, are you familiar enough with the previous request to refresh us on what we did and when we did it? Was that like a year ago, year and a half ago? We approved $250,000, if I remember, or something
Right.
like that.
Right, that was basically exterior restoration, windows repointing, maybe some structural, I can't recall exactly, but yeah, for the historical restoration of it. Since then, they have executed their preservation agreement restriction as required. And they're coming back with this additional request. So the details I will leave to Jean or others.
Okay, but they have been getting withdrawals. They have been getting payments from the
Right.
200.
Right, I believe there's like a balance of 80,000 or something on the original. But yeah, they have accessed some of the money.
Okay, all right. Gene, I love you. You're great. Thank you. Gene gave me a wonderful tour today, and he's a
Thank you, Tom.
bundle of energy, a bunch of great ideas. But I'm going to restrict you. I
I know
don't want
that,
this
understand.
meeting to go on until 9:30
Not gonna.
tonight.
So just to answer your question with Jay, the first phase that we asked for, the original phase came in at 627,000, which included the elevator, included the other stuff to bring the building up to par, which included 81, 83 and everything else. We requested 300,000. This was right before the holidays of 2019, right before 2020. We fit our way in there. You guys accommodated us. There actually was a conversation that we weren't aware of saying that it wasn't enough funding for what we wanted to do. And we agreed with that because we requested 300,000. So the discrepancy that Jay Vitsky is looking at right now is the letter addressed that we still were requesting the 50,000 the first time when we asked for 300,000. Little did we know that the pandemic was going to happen. And soon as that happened and plywood went to $75 a piece and everything went in there, even the funding you gave us, which we went ahead before we were funded. We received no funds from you until 2021 at the end of January and February. We already spent over $500,000, okay? And that part was that we restored the little building too. And that little building was built in the 1900s right after that. And we restored it to the same prestige as the building was, the big one. So we've spent 2/3 of any money that we even asked from you guys about, okay? We didn't get into the ADA. We didn't get into the elevators. We didn't get into that confusion. Let's just stay with the west side, which is exposed on Elm Street and Thomas Street, okay? We got in there, that whole Thomas Street, because of the salt that came down there, all those bricks were disintegrated, which I made a point to show Tom today too, okay? We replaced 400, 500 bricks down the side there, one at a time, to put them in there to take care of what was there. We did it exactly as it was. We did not put in new bricks. We put in bricks that were in well condition, that were weathered. I am the guy that is up on the lift. I told you, when are you ever going to have the owner of the building and actually the owner of the construction company? And I'm the guy that we brought in the corporals and we extended the top of the buildings up in there. And we are restoring all the windows, not adding wood or anything else. We're using this, what you do, where you inject epoxy wood filler. For instance, you either eject it or you build a form. That's how we're restoring all the windows. We have replaced over 60 square panes. We're in the arches right now. We're ready to put all the glass back into that building that was blocked with the things at the top. We're asking for assistance now. The state required it. This was a mess for 10 years, a decade, about the eminent domain. The eminent domain was never finished. When we got that property, I wanted to put the thing in entrance. I couldn't do anything because the land was never settled. And the property line showed it before the parking lot. It ended up in the middle of the entrance. And as I told you all the first time you met me, that we're your partners, okay? We're in this with you guys, okay? We're in this with Westfield. We brought other communities in here, East Hampton, Northampton. So we distinguish it. We said to the city, listen, We'll give you the parkings. Let's not get into this, okay? We need the piece of land on the back where we want to put community, you know, I'm talking cement tables with checkerboards, where you have electric cars, where you have handicap, where you have people coming out, where you're doing art events so people can get out of the car and be covered. That has nothing to do with our building, really. That has to do with community space where we're asking you there, okay? We got here, the top of that building, and I would lose my license for not tying in that brick and leaving that for 10 years, expanding, contracting, everything. We tied in the left side already. We already did it. We're on the bottom. We're needling in the other side with flex things. We just did it on High Street, and we brought in an engineer from Old Saybrook to help us out with it, to keep the building from collapsing. That's what we're doing on the Thomas Street right now. That's what you paid for the first time. We have delivered you the front on the west side. We have delivered you the whole north side, which is the worst part. The state, we are on a restricted deed now, okay? And then we were up on the stage, and we helped them with the art committee, and my father stood up there, and I don't know where he is tonight. He was supposed to be here at 86 years old, and he said this will be filed national, okay? This building is a landmark. It's not only historical, it's a landmark. We spent weeks just restoring the signs up there, making the brick and the lamps, and so that when you come around in here, and eventually you guys will get it across the street. Sooner or later, you guys are going to get where the Newburghs, you're going to bring that park back here. You know, we asked one thing in the art committee that you recognize us as Lamson Square over here now. Now, the top of this building is a nightmare. That wasn't only the original part of the back building. The original part from 1867, it ended about 20 feet in, and it used to wrap around the back of the building with the parapet wall, with the parts up there. Then in like 1901, they went ahead and they added 20 feet on the back. Then they became so successful, they ended up like LL Beans. Okay, so they did that whole warehouse, the L, International. That stuff was sent all over the world. Up top, we need to. Even the sheets are 10. We need to take the top upper section and completely restore it. We need to bring the parapets around. We have already finished. I know I'm short on time, so we have already done the second floor. We've already done the third floor, okay? We're asking for help on the fourth floor to do this. We're asking you for help where we're still trying to bring out some balconies and the doors where we got animals and things living in there, but we need to address the elevator. And soon as I called, Trish called Bay State elevator. I called another guys. They came in, they were already selling the elevator. Next thing we know, the Boston Museum shows up. We accommodated them. They came in here and adjusted in there, and they've seen stuff in here they haven't seen. And then another member that's here with us right now was Sid Hubble, that I've worked in the Middle East with, Qatar. I've worked in Afghanistan. I hired him as a project manager to help me through this. He contacted people that actually wrote a book on this. They sent us, as Cindy has. I showed her the patents. I showed her the drawings. They go back to 1876. They can't find a recorded record on this elevator. They all agree that it's a freight rope elevator. And you talk about something you want to see that nobody has in the United States, the bull wheels that are at the top of that thing. The cables that come down, they tell me they were done with a clamp, where they clamp metal around it, and there's guys' fingerprints in them, where they did it. The Boston Museum wants to buy any parts they can get. The Dr. Lee Gray out of Charlotte, he wants to come up here. He wrote a book on it. He sent his articles. He did say, I'm at the point that we're trying to do this without any bank at all, okay? And I'm not skimping anything on restoration. And when I mentioned the farm I had, there is a water molding machine that UMass did an article on. They own 55,000 acres. I got the last 5. There is a machine in there from 1865. It made the moldings for the building. I actually have the black walnut moldings that were made for that building on the farm I bought, okay? So we need to get into the cellar. And you're talking about the stone down there is 6 feet wide, okay? We're gonna go through 3 feet of brick. We're asking you for help to punch through the hole. I could go to any contractor. They'd give me a bid at $300,000, $400,000. I'm asking you for 30 grand to help us punch the hole in there so that we can come down there with a ramp. We can set the steel with the moment frames on both sides. And that water elevator works. It literally works. The plumber fired it up and it goes down with a piston that's in there. We need to get down in there to get it out. The only other way to get it out of there is if I cut it up. And I'm telling you, that car, whether it's in this building, in your library, if part of these gears are in the city hall, that's where they need to be. They absolutely 100% should never move out of here. And I had a little problem with the elevator people, Trish, because they said I wasn't licensed to take it out. And I said, seriously, you're going to tell me that? Okay, well, I am licensed to take that elevator out. And the one at Fitzwillies disappeared. And they do not know where the car is. Okay, I know that for a fact for the museum. So I made an agreement with them, and I'm telling you, to take the elevator, it's 35 grand just to get the elevator, but I will let them do it. And you're talking about a shaft that runs on wood with grease. Those are hand filed brass up there. And even the people from the museum, they don't know what the thing was at the top. I raced motorcycles my whole life. I said, that's a chain toucher. You know what they said? I think he's right. There's a thing that's picking up the cable. So that's where the money we're asking for you. We're not asking you to drain your account or do anything else. And if you help us some this year and the next year, like I said, I feel that we are gifted as guardians of this building. And we're the caretakers. Okay? And this is the city, the community. It's not just this community. It's all the communities together. And we have backing from East Hampton, from Chicopee, from Northampton that are investing in this, okay? And I'm working it. So that's my statement. If you look at the numbers, I can run through them with Jay, and we're accounting for every penny, every foot, everything that's in there. And that's what we're doing there. We got a great team. And we have people that are interested. You guys have people from Boston, Charlotte, MIT, Chris Sawyer, National Register. He already said it's good. He declared that we meet every criteria. And then today I had Michael Cody come down from New Hampshire for the General Electric. For Phil can help me with that one. Phil, what is he with? He's with Phil Cody out of New Hampshire. That's with energy and all that. So he's trying. But anyways, they spent, after Tom left today, that guy was with me for 2 hours. And he says, we're going to get you funding for this stuff. And to walk the building, it's open. You guys are doing the art stuff across the street. I'm telling you, our parking lot's empty. If the floor with Carissa, she's working on her permits that we can do the apartments. And I'm telling you, if the third floor is subsidized rent, great. People are a creature of habitat. You put people in a place that's good, you're in a community, it thrives. And we can do the other stuff. So we were looking for some money with the housing thing, but there's got to be major changes downtown. Okay, you cannot take a tractor trailer truck where Bank of America is. You guys just approved all the bridges for the bike paths. You can't come in where the bike path is. The fire hydrant got taken off on the corner of Thomas Street. You know, I've talked with the chief of police. I don't know. That's his job. He knows that thing. That you got the Mass Pike on one side, you're coming in through the common. You got to be able to turn tractor trailer trucks on Thomas Street. Okay, I've already put Trish on this with the inner things. You know we got the bus. You can't pull the corners. Every one of those tractor trailer trucks that come in here right now, we will have events. We will have restaurants. We'll have business. Those are worth $5,000-$10,000 a truck to the city. Okay, so that's my case. And you guys this is a short meeting, but this is you. We're asking for help because the state told us that we have to do the east and the south side. And we did the south and we did the east. We're just trying to ask for help to get these last couple sections. If you tell us no, then give us a letter that Westfield refused us. And we'll get the state to step in, and we will go to the National Register, which we're going to do anyways. We're going to do that for Westfield. This is Westfield's jewel. Fine, you know, so you guys decide what you want to do. But that's
So Gene,
where we're
Gene,
at.
you started off tonight by saying the project total was 627,000.
That's what it was to put the elevator phase one. Sorry, phase one is where it was. We asked you for $250,000 to help us out with it, okay? We're securing the elevator. We have already done the outside. We have all the glass bought for the whole front of the building over there, which includes 8183. We've gone ahead and we went into the ADA because you know that you want to keep it simple. Like, let's just say it's the outside on the west side and down the part that's exposed. Okay. Well, now we've jumped into everything that we've had to do. And then 629,000 was to bring the building up to where it's totally historical outside. It goes in there, but that was without the east and the south side that was required by the state. Okay. That's where we ran into the thing like, okay, well, they say we got to do it. I told, yeah, I can put vinyl siding up on the back. It's not in the historical. I'm the guy that's up on the man lift that costs $10,000 a month. I don't want to do it twice. It's a sin. Okay. So we're accounting for all that on the new phase right now that we're talking about. We're saying, okay, that we're going to go ahead, and if you help us out, we're going to do that back exactly the way it was done in 1868. We're doing the other side. We are going to go through that building, and we're going to go down low, subterranean, and we're actually going to dig out the bottom floor, all our expense, okay? We're going to open up the windows going down Thomas Street. If you look down the side, all those windows are in there. We're going to do wells. You put bars. We're going to open the bottom of that. So that is a Lamson Business Center, storage, whatever it is. That's habitable space. We've already checked the footings. They go down 10 feet. We're going to go down and drive with about, and we're going to excavate underneath there. We're going to get in there. And like I said, Sid will tell you, we drilled wells in Afghanistan. I've drilled them in Chechnya. I never drilled inside of a building. And we're going to drill down inside the building to put in a hydraulic piston. So we're not running on gears, and it produces heat when it comes up that gets transferred to the building. And as the elevator goes up and down, it produces electricity. So with the budget you're looking at now at like 360 something thousand, we were asking for the 220 to help us finish the back top and to get the rest of the side. And those doors that are on the back that have been closed off, and some of those were closed off by the electric company. And they, without even asking them to do it, they said they're moving the transfer station. They're going to move it. When does the electric and gas get excited? Okay, Fran says, I'm all for progress, Gene. You're going to put tables out here. We're going to move the transfer station. And they offered it to me not once, twice. So they're going to move that on the back of there. And they said, because we like what's going on here.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of damage on the back of the building when the warehouse was removed.
The bottom, though, you covered that with the 250,000. That was in that on the bottom floor all the way. Okay, I am taking care of that. It's costing more, and no matter what, like I said, you're 250,000. By the time we had a delay for a year with the eminent domain with the pandemic, it was worth 150,000. Okay, that's how it goes. And we're not asking for any more on that. We're not asking for any extras. We're asking for what the state required. The state says, I want all four sides. And the state no longer is involved with this. They absolutely released all control to Westfield. So I guess you guys are good because they usually chime in and they'll say, oh, no, you got to send a report to us. Right? The state of Massachusetts says that they completely release everything to Westfield now. So you never gave us any money for the east side. You never gave us anything for the south. And we need to do the elevator thing. And that's where it is.
Gene, excuse me for interrupting, but to accomplish that, you're looking for $220,000.
Yeah.
And you talked about the elevator, which is, hugely beautiful and all that. But is that part of the $220,000? This,
it's for you guys to save it. That's for us to be able to take it out there. And if you're partners with us, we make a decision together. what we do with that elevator, what we do with those gears. But that's what I'm saying to you. You're our partners on that 100%. That you
Hey,
are.
Gene, for tonight, you're looking for $220,000, nothing to do with the elevator? Am I reading you
No,
correctly?
nothing. No, it's
And then you
that
want-
top section, that parapet section, where the city is 100% liable. You don't even own the land behind the back of the building. When the building was taken down, the warehouse, under eminent domain code, which you can look up, can only be executed if it hasn't been developed. That's what the code says, state. And you guys took it and it was developed. And it had a warehouse. And on top of it, that land behind the building belongs to us. So where you took it off the building, you don't own. You don't own that part of it, but we're partners. We took a decade to get through this, like a neighbor that puts a fence higher, the other one puts one higher. It's over. But the state says we have to deal with this. So then all of a sudden, so we're supposed to incur all the cost on the back of the building that the city of Westfield completely did. And they didn't go to the historical people and say, because you guys would have said, wait a minute, why are you doing that? That's an historical building. Okay, so that's where we're at. Okay.
So Gene, part of the 220,000 that you're requesting, I'm looking at your spreadsheet now.
Yeah,
and
you're looking at it. Okay.
Yeah, you've got this like huge number of $87,000 for construct masonry glass basement entrance.
That's us.
What-
That's not on your part. That's why
I'm
it's
sorry, what?
220,000. We're going to construct that. We're
So
going to
you also mentioned 2/3, 1/3, 250 grand, and you're looking, this totals about 400 grand. You know,
Okay, so the other part, as you're going in there, you were there today, you saw me doing the ADA ramp inside, okay? We took out the granite that's been down in there, which I told you we want to put up in the back parking lot and stuff, okay? If you go back to phase 1 and you look at it, there's $37,000 in there for the entryway from the front that the city didn't want to address, okay? Well, you have to address it. It's an Italianate design. An Italianate design has columns on both sides with glass coming in on the sidewalk, like the same way the art gallery is, okay? So that's how it was. So nobody wanted to go into ADA, which you all agree. It's an historical building. If it has over 50% waste, you can't demo the building. And the state is actually stepping in on Holyoke. And I know I'm on South Canal. I'm down on High Street. They're not letting the city knock these buildings down. That's what they're doing. There's no place to put it. So instead of going into that, we're spending 30,000 right now to take care of the entrance and not asking historical, not asking the other people to do it. The doors are here. The angles are here. They're going to pour the cement. So we're investing another 30,000 down there. We are going to go through, even if you go through the sidewall and you help us punch through the wall and put those columns in there for 30 grand. There's nobody in the world that's going to hold up 5 stories of a 3-foot brick building and go ahead and do that for 30 grand. And I know because I did Main Street on Theodore's for Silver Brick, where there was a puncture down there 3 years ago. And they went off at $1.5 million, $1.2 million, and I did it for 400,000 for them. And I did it in 3 weeks. Okay. So we're going to take the basement out. Even if you get me into the basement to get to the elevator, we have to excavate it. We have to get down 3 feet, 3.5 feet just to get the water system. Below that elevator, there's a whole system down there. Below the elevator in the basement. Okay. So we're going to spend right there, we're going to spend like 75,000 to go ahead and excavate out the entire basement, to re-pour, to go around the footings and do all that. I didn't put that stuff in there where I'm saying, I know you're at 4, where's the park? Because when we open this, I don't want to rent even to a restaurant until we do the bottom and we dig up the parking lot. We come in there in 1 month, and even with the project manager here and his wife, we lost a year trying to get through the eminent domain. We lost another year with the pandemic, okay? These projects are done in 1 year. I'm the guy paying the taxes. I'm paying the electric bills. I'm paying the water bills. I'm paying the thing. Our schedule was set to be done for January on the 1st. Right now, I'm telling you, we have the steel studs secured. We have the material bought. We bought it before the pandemic happened. I don't go in there. So we are going to dish out all together to do the apartment. It's going to be 1.1. It's going to be $627,000 for the original bid that we gave you and 400. So we're going to be in it for 2.2 million. Okay, that's what we're putting into this building. And we're asking you for $500,000 assistance, whether it's this year or part of next year, whatever it is. There are no banks. And as far as I'm going to do, I'm going to find a way to do it. And you're in first position.
Yeah.
And I
Hey,
told
Gene,
you,
let's give the commissioners a chance to ask you
okay.
questions.
So there you
Mike,
go.
did you have a?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
sorry,
Everybody, go ahead.
My head's spinning a little bit because there's so many numbers. So
Okay.
you mentioned 220. I think I finally figured this out. The application says 250, but you're looking for 220 plus
Because
30.
30,000 is to
is what you're
punch that
saying.
hole to get the elevator.
Okay, so the 220 is what is doing the
Is to do the east.
south side and the east side?
Yes, to get the rest of that done with the parapet, with the other stuff up in there and to finish it off.
And
Yes.
the roof as well, right?
Yeah, it's the chimneys in there. We already moved on the chimney. And as of right now, I've spent 75,000 right now. Okay, which I can show you everything's transparent. We have spent 75,000 right now on the east and the south side. Right
Okay.
now.
So, but down below, when I read the letter dated June 12th, 2021, that letter says that you're requesting an additional $270,000.
Because we asked for 300,000 the first time. And everybody even said to us, there was a conversation that we weren't even involved with saying that there wasn't enough. That isn't enough. Well, when they come back, we'll get more. And I said, okay, we asked for 300 because we were at 629 and we secured $300,000 from the Borowski Trust, my family trust that we had. And my father signed it, applied it, said, give it to me. He went ahead and he signed it and we gave you a notarized letter. So how am I backing this up at the bank that my father, he didn't give us anything until we were 60. And he says, you got like $450,000, $300,000 is going to Westfield. And that's how I did it. And then the other money I put in myself. Okay. Because I got to say where the money's, and that's where the money is. So we backed it. Okay. And then right now I've only been able to secure about 160,000 more. So that's why I told you. And then even Dr. Phil here says, well, when you give us the bid, it says 387,000. Yeah, well, I put 5% overhead and 2% profit. I got to pay my insurance. My liability quadrupled with the permit I just pulled right now. Okay, it did. So I pay the workman's comp. When I pull a certificate to do a job for $1 million, my insurance company gets paid before I start. Okay, so that's where it is. The 220 is an assistance to what we need to finish off that back. To finish, and you guys are done. That all four sides, 100%. Plus, you get the little building as a bonus. And there's a picture that I showed Tom that it looks exactly the way it did in the 1900s. We are not charging you anything for anything, and I could have. It was built in 1901, but I didn't want to be limited to asking you to put a hole through the wall or to move a wall. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it with the little building, but I'm going to make it the way it was. Okay, so we're asking for the 220. The 50,000 was because we wanted 3 in the beginning. And we did. We put in over $500,000 right now, and we put in 75 lately. And right now, we can show you that we have all the studs. We have all the material. We've paid for the glass. We've paid for all this stuff. It's all there. And all this is based kind of on this meeting tonight with you guys for me to see if I got to go down to South Canal again and pour the 2 handicap ramps and pour their sidewalks and do the last ADA thing and push my schedule for another month and a half, or if you guys are behind us and backing us, then I can say we're going for January. And let's get it done. And let's keep that downstairs for the balls and for the others. Let's do everything we can to keep that room as an event center and do that. So any other thing with the numbers, let me know, but that's where they are. It's 629 and then it was a 380, but the whole thing to finish off the apartments is 117,000. And we found a box in the cellar. So when Bentley Billiards owned it 10 years ago, there's 3 estimates from the fire departments, from this fire, from that one, there's from the sprinkler thing, and they were at 1,017,000 to build out the apartments, to build out the restaurant. They were doing like kind of a theater in there to do that. Okay, men's rooms. 10 years later, it has changed by 10 grand by my estimate, and I'd be glad to share that with you guys. So that's where the numbers are, and we're nonprofit. Okay, so that's where it is, and we're glad to give you the receipts. I'll give you the material receipts on $250,000. I could show you just the receipts alone for the material and for the glass guys. Okay, the glass just for the front was $25,000, just for the glass on the front. The elevator, we're still close to $250,000. I'm trying to bring it in around 180,000, 180. And I know we will get some assistance, but I don't want to wait. So I sold my house in Crew Street down in South Hadley, and I'll buy that elevator. So
Yeah, you answered my question. Yeah, thanks, Gene. You answered my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jay, can we even be thinking about, I mean, I know the 220 doesn't include the elevator, but is that within our ability to offer funding for an elevator to move an elevator from one spot to another? I mean, I know we're fine as long as we're talking about fixing up the exterior of the building, and that's what Gene has been doing, along with, a lot of work inside, I might say. But is elevator within our purview?
I mean, insofar as it may be part of the project. I'm not completely clear on what the elevator costs entail. Just to get it out of the building.
Didn't we do something elevator related at the Women's Club?
Yeah, and ADA accessibility, which is that's a valid CTA expenditure. Historically, as you know, this committee on private buildings likes to stick to the outside exterior stuff, but you're not restricted to it.
Yeah. Mike, I'm sorry. Where did we talk elevators in previous requests?
The Women's Club, the ADA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Thinking that this elevator has some historical significance, and the fact that we remove it and the car and the parts to the elevator with the historical significance is they're coming back to the city. They can be displayed. They can be part of the history of that building. So I think there's some gain there. I remember years ago, I worked in a building over in Holyoke that I had responsibility for on Sargent Street. And they had an escalator in there. It was one of the few wooden escalators in the world. It ran between 2 floors to move the people in the woolen mill. And it just sat there and rotted because nobody took the advantage of taking it out of there and putting it someplace where it could be utilized. I'd hate to lose the historical significance of this elevator to Boston or someplace else. I think, we could use it here to be displayed someplace. I don't know where. So I think there's some advantages to that, to being able to save the elevator. And I think if there's some cost to that, I think we should look at it hard, because it is, again, historically significant. Some of these older pieces of equipment that have been lost over the years. I've spent all my life working on equipment, and to lose something was built 100 years ago just seems to be a shame to me. You know,
Yeah,
and
but Rich, the city doesn't own that elevator. Gene owns that
I would
elevator.
make a deal, you're our partners. And as far as the escalator, that's where I'm working. I'm working, the escalator is there. I was just there the other day. Okay, so, and it's saying to the escalator is still, and I'm telling you, it's right there. That's who I'm doing the handicap ramps for. And we're doing it. We're working with the state. And I'm telling you, with this elevator, with the people coming in, Justin, they came in from the Boston Museum. They have not seen this mechanism in the top of this elevator ever because there's not a name on it. So I would like with you guys, so if Sid Hubble here, I would like him to send you some correspondence that Cindy has here through Dr. Lee Gray, that he sent us articles from, I'm not sure what the newspaper was that's on there, and he sent us all the patents.
It was the history
tracking.
of the Washburn shops out of Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It was his opinion that elevator may have been one of the first manufactured by the Washburn shops using a patent from one of the professors at the Worcester Polytechnic Institute in the 1870s. So it's a very early example of a hydraulic elevator that was patented and manufactured there in Massachusetts. So it's very interested. He wants us to crawl around and take him some more pictures so we can nail it down a little bit further how early he thinks that might have been manufactured and then constructed there in Worcester. Very early elevator.
Yeah, it is a beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Todd. The brass plate is still on it.
Yeah, and the Washburn shop started in 18-something. Elevators came out in like 1850-something by the French. There were no buildings over 5 stories. That's why the elevator didn't go to the 4th floor. And you couldn't have any buildings until, as far as they know, this is money from grant money that was given there. And it could even go back to Oliver that worked there. And he took the patent. We know that the other patents, as Sid could chime in, they went to the Germans. What was the name of the company?
Siemens owns all the companies that were the early elevator manufacturers and installers out of Massachusetts.
And Washburn went to World War I that got taken over by the government. But they all say that this here and it's never been touched because you're talking about Chester, Lamson, the guy started the first cemetery in Westfield, okay? He was the first chief of the fire department because he started the fire department. 150 years. It was common practice to be the cabinet maker and the furniture and also be the undertaker where they came, but nobody touched the elevator. So they said, even the Boston Museum questioned that, we think it was the early 18s. Then they came back and they said they were wrong after Sid got through to the doctor here. And Cindy, you have that stuff, right? The patents and stuff I sent to you. Cindy, I gave it to you that
still
day.
Got all that.
Okay, but you can resend it. But anyways, he sent us every patent. He sent us the letters. He sent us, and he wrote a book on it. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the recognized experts for the development of the elevators and the skyscrapers in the United States.
And he's on Charlotte. So we're doing our homework. I'm not, like I said, even the canal thing you guys get into. I grew up in Northampton. I know the canal. Okay, so I'm not going to carry on with you guys. But if this isn't a righteous thing, I don't know what is. There's not one person that is rich that's on my team. Phil's a professor. It's Sid here, works in government. Trish here is a starving architect, okay? Me, I got to go somewhere. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I need to do something all the time. And this is the city owns this. I will make sure that you guys, this is your thing.
Well,
this is 100% that this building is the property of Westfield past anything it is. This is a landmark. This is your precious jewel. This is what's going to bring everything going, and we're with you. Let's do it, you know, so. And if you need the
Unfortunately, there's-
financials, my father's not here. He's been in business. I'm in his office now, 67 years. I can't believe he come back, but every penny, every dollar, every cent, okay, it's here, and we're transparent. So all Jay's got to do is say, Gene, can you give us a little more on this? And we're glad to give it to you, okay? And we're not asking to wipe out your funds. Absolutely not, but you need to tell us, where do we go to the state? Because Michael at the state did tell us that we will help you on those two sides. If we will help you. That's what he said. But then he also said, are you going to do the register? We are 100%. We have the documentation from Dr. Phil Peak on the whole history from when that building was built, everything about Chester. We have Christopher Sawyer from MIT that sent it out to all the grad students, okay? And they all chimed in on it, and they all says 100%. It reaches every criteria. If you don't have one, you don't pass. I know that would change and getting variance. You have to have 100%, not 80, not 99, 100%. We have that on this building. Okay.
Hey, Gene,
So-
I think I'm very interested. I think Westfield continues to be interested in partnering with you on this project. For tonight, let's
Yeah.
take elevator right out of the equation, because I'm not sure that even qualifies. It certainly has
I'm not
nothing.
asking for the elevator. I'm
Yeah,
asking
you
to
are.
punch,
You're
punch
you're
a hole.
asking
No, because
30,000.
the exterior, just to correct you, Tom, I can't touch more than painting a window, any emergency fix, unless a car goes through it. I can't believe the fire hydrant didn't go through that window that was already broken. I cannot go through that wall without permission with historical, because I could endanger the integrity of that whole building. Look at
Yes.
Florida, okay? This is 100% historical.
Yeah.
To be able
That's-
to handle that, but it's not with the elevator, to get
Yeah, but
permission.
that's for a
give-
different committee. What
Okay.
we can do is
Okay,
try to
okay.
come up with funding for you. You'll need to go
Okay.
back to.
All right, so let's pull it out of there then.
Yeah.
We'll pull it out of there. We'll pull it out. The same thing I did with the ADA entrances, I just pulled it out.
All right,
And let's-
so then if
yeah.
I can just kind of re-present it, you're basically, and you said it, I'm just wrapping up for you, but
Yeah.
when you came to us earlier, we gave you money to do the north and east side. And now that you want to make it a national historic deal, they're saying, hey, you got to do the whole envelope.
The
So now
state
you're
did that.
back.
The
I'm sorry.
state did it. The state
Okay,
did it
thank you.
under the restricted deed. Under the restricted deed that we signed with the state and with the city of Westfield.
Yeah.
It's mandatory that we do all four sides. And Westfield put the request through, as my partners can back me up, and you guys only asked for two sides, and the state said, no way. The state said, we are not accepting a restricted deed on two sides. The state says the only way this gets filed is at all four sides. Okay? So that's
Yeah.
what we're asking for, is all four sides. And that was the state. That has nothing to do with the federal government. That was the state with the restricted deed.
Yeah.
They put it on us.
So,
So if we were to consider like
Yeah.
let's just pick a number, $100,000. We approve an additional $100,000, and
Okay.
you're right. You are becoming a big part of our budget. You know,
Right.
you are
Well, of
becoming
course.
this one project is
Yeah.
consuming like 25% of us. If we were to belly up with another $100,000, you're indicating you might be able to go to the state and find the additional
Yes.
120 that you.
Yes, I was told that by Michael, and I'm going to ask the doctor, Phil, to chime in. What's Michael's last name?
Heinitz.
Heinz. He told me on the phone, talking with me and my attorney, I personally talked to him, and he said, Gene, I'm going to go talk to the people in the other department. They work in the department with me, okay? But this is their thing, and he asked me, he said, you do what you can with Westfield. We know Westfield is thinking there. We can't agree with the two sides, and that we will assist you. So if you guys agree to the $100,000, okay, 100, no problem at all. then we can absolutely go back to Michael right now. And they told me personally that they will assist us, because there isn't a grad student at any college that doesn't know about this building. Anything that could go wrong with the historical preservations standards were set on the Lamson building.
Yeah.
I'm just
Hey,
telling you,
Bill.
it was. They're just like, people know about it. So they said, we know the situation. We know the backs off. We know the bricks off. We will do that. And we will help you, because they know that we're not Walmart. We're not the other stuff. You know what? This is right. This is the right thing to do. So if you guys agreed to 100 grand with us and you said this is the last one, then absolutely, I will be on the state come Monday morning, and I will work with them on the rest of it. And I will do everything with the city, and not what you're doing with the canal. We will get through this, the National Register, and you will get funding. Westfield will get money from the federal government that will help you out with plowing, other stuff, everything else, because it will be on the register, and we have the documentation to do it.
Hey,
Okay.
Bill, Bill Porter, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't make that leap there. Something about, because it's on a National Historic Register, the city gets money to do other things.
Okay, I know,
my
that's what I
head is
was
about
told.
ready to
Okay,
explode, Gene.
okay.
You've been tossing, you obviously are a very well-informed gentleman. And I'll
Yeah.
give you credit for that. But you have so confused me that I don't really know where we are here. I'm thinking that we would help do exterior preservation and stop
Fine.
there.
Fine. And I agree to that. And I've agreed to that with the team. I agreed to that. We take the elevator out. We don't talk about punching the wall. We don't do it into that. We just deal with the east side and the south side.
So
That's it.
What I would
That's
like
it.
to see
Mhm.
is this simplified a little bit for me, to show me the dollars involved in just doing the east side and the south side.
That's what's on the Excel sheet. Broken
That
down to that Excel sheet. Okay. So I
Yeah,
didn't
but
do the
it's-
green.
Gene,
Okay,
Gene,
I will
it's-
separate it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean, there is so much information there that
Okay,
even if I spent all day tomorrow trying to
Okay.
ferret it out, I probably couldn't get there. I mean, I'm
okay.
when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm not as well informed as you are by any stretch of the imagination. So I need it handed to me in a clear format that says, here's
No
what it's
problem.
going to cost
No problem.
without the elevator, without
No problem.
all these
No
other
problem.
things.
No problem.
Thank you. I'm
Gene,
sorry.
No,
No
no,
problem.
not at all. No problem at all.
Hey,
When I
Gene,
did
no-
the first phase, I put it in green. It came out to 250,000. I did not take the time this time to break it down to the 220,000. So when you looked at that spreadsheet, it had its own platform, its own color. I didn't do that. That is my mistake. So I will have that out to you guys, and it will strictly only deal with, that's it, with the east and the south side and what it is, and that's it. No problem.
Gene, no
Okay.
problem. The one problem that you may have is that we meet quarterly. So we're not scheduled to meet again for another 3 months. What does that do to no problem?
Well, that means I go to Holyoke and I'm going to pour the 3 ramps. And I'm going to do the last ADA, and I'm going to pour 160 yards of concrete on South Canal and Sargent. So that's what I'm going to do. And they want it done by the end of August. And we are going to proceed. So what I would like from the city of Westfield is I would like a letter that I'm not building at risk. And if you're willing to agree that I'm not building at risk, and you see fit that what I do on the back of the building, and I put the parapet wall up, and I do the other part, and you see that that was justified, and you that I can recover money on that. Okay? And if it takes 3, that's what I would ask. Because you did that to me in 2019, and I never drew any money off you guys to 2021. And I've already completed another $50,000-$60,000 on the $250,000 I haven't billed yet. And I didn't want to bill before I come into a meeting and talk with you guys and do that. So if we agree that there, I just don't want to build at risk. And I'm a man of honor, and I know everybody on this screen is. And if you tell me that guy built that parapet wall and he did what he said up there, and that number did match the thing in there, then yes, he was entitled. We're not going to give him 220,000, but you know what? He definitely did $100,000 worth of work plus for Westfield. And that you agreed that I could get some funding from it, because I don't want to wait 3 months. You're going to push me into 2023. Okay. And you don't want that either. We're on a schedule. We got phases. We got to do this. Let's get it done. Okay. So
Cindy, let's hear from Cindy. Hi.
Jane,
that's my opinion. So that's all.
Gene, I just wanted to ask you the status of the elevator. If we don't give you the 30,000 to punch the hole in to get the
I'm
elevator
keeping it.
out.
I already went through it with the elevator company and the other stuff in there, and nothing moves. They were
So-
taking it. It will not be moved. Like I said, I'm a man of honor. It is not moving. We are going to sit it right there. And you saw the bull wheels and the other stuff. That stuff is going to stay right where it is on the ground. And you know that if the state and the other stuff, we are entitled to ADA access. We're entitled to ADA bathrooms.
But
We're
Gene,
talking buildings, but
you do
but I'm
have
just-
to put a new elevator in though, correct?
we have to, because it is a freight rope elevator.
So
The
will
one
it
that was in
go-
Fitzwillies, it had a control panel.
But my
This
question
one
is-
has a cable outside of the elevator that
Mhm.
pulls, and it is banned, not just in the state of Massachusetts. It's banned in the United States.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought when I was looking at it, you said that you could take the cab out and preserve that, but the new elevator would have to go in the shaft where the
We're
old
going to put it in
elevator-
that spot because we already have a shaft and we have to expand it.
So that
But I
elevator is coming
absolutely,
out.
if we were to keep the inside, we could absolutely take this mahogany cab out and put it inside the new elevator. Okay?
Oh, inside the new-
Or
oh.
yes, we could. We could take it and put it inside the shell. All
It's
they
just a
come with
wood
is a
panel.
panel. So
It's
we
just a
could do
wood
that.
panel. The wood
What's that?
paneling, basically, wood paneling comes
Right.
out of. an
We're
old box,
expanding with three,
goes to a new box.
right, 3-inch mahoganies on the sides. You
But
never
it
even
would
see
be
it.
inside a
Yes.
modern elevator.
But like you said, we don't want to get into the elevator, and then you guys saying we're off this many months, and you wanted the figures broken down, and then even if you look at where you are for the 220,000, we're asking for the top of the parapet wall. Okay, we're asking for the rest of the masonry and the doors. So if you look at the Excel sheet, and no matter how you cut it up, you can look, as Tom looked at the building, and if you guys said 100,000, okay, we need to get the top of the building. That's my
Gene-
big problem.
Gee, Jessica, I agree with Bill that I need this
Yeah.
clarified. So
Yeah.
if we did vote the 220 through tonight, then you would work on our project, get it done, and it'd be
Give it to you in
open.
writing through an attorney, notarized, you own it, and it will be taken care of.
And it
And
would
I
be open.
apologize about the part where you say, like, can't say with the federal government. You're right. I can't. I definitely can't say that.
Okay,
what
I
they will give
don't need you to
but-
say that. I just need to, like Bill said, just
Yeah.
simplify it. So if we gave you the 100,000, then you would have to walk away and go work on another project to make more money and then come
No,
back to our
no,
project somewhere down the
no,
road.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Okay.
if I wait 3 months, I thought that's what the question was. I thought the question was, if I had to wait for the next meeting to come
Oh,
up here,
okay.
I have the money to build the apartments. Okay. I have it. Okay. I have the material. I'm waiting for Carissa. I'm not waiting on the ramps. I already bought the doors. I already bought the windows. I already bought, the thing is going to pop.
So
like
tell
that.
me, can you justify to us, right, if you can get the money from the state, why are you asking us for the money? Just to give us ownership?
Because the state still says that Westfield, as you guys are, that you're under restricted deed with us here, okay? And that still, that back of that building is classified as historical. Okay? That's it. So we're saying that, okay, that Westfield is responsible. It's responsible. Like here, I give you back the $250,000 and turn around and sue the city of Westfield for $500,000 and tie it up in court for 10 years because you don't own the land on the back. You took down a building that you can't take down under eminent domain codes and all that. We're your partners. We're here to do this and make this the whole thing with the city. We're just saying that we need some help on that back because those lifts are 10 grand. And I'm only going to move them once more. When they come
Gene,
in,
the
I'm
100
finishing the back and I'm finishing the front. And it's
Well, Gene,
10,000 just to bring the lift in.
And
Okay,
Sydney
and I
did-
feel we're entitled to help on the back of that building, on
Okay,
the
Gene,
top,
100
on the top,
100
that's all, so.
Gene, the 100,000 would substantially complete the south and the west sides. to
Yes, yes, we
restore it
can
back
lock up the
to-
historical, the whole shell. We can lock it up, okay? And you go,
South
Get it
and
all
east.
back
we
to,
could lock, I could lock it up, you know, I'll do it. We'll get it done. And we're not gonna talk about that anymore. And then if it was like the city, when it comes to the elevator, I still, whether you put any money in or not, as far as I'm concerned, that's Westfield's property.
for
Okay, I do. I consider
$30,000.
that Westfield's property because that is a landmark. And I researched it. It is. And it's owned by you guys. Okay?
Could we hear?
So that's
I think
it. So
Sid
if
has a
I
comment.
understand all what takes with politics, but under construction, me and Sid will walk in and they give us $140 million and 120 days to do it. Okay? I mean, this guy's on that 30, but we can't delay the project, and we're not trying to stick anything down you guys, but you all got to admit that was a mistake on the back of the Lamson building. Is there anybody here that doesn't agree that that was a mistake?
Well, I don't
Nothing
to
to do with you
most of the
guys,
committee
but that
understands
was
that,
like,
though.
who did that to a building?
Gene, unfortunately, most of this committee doesn't understand what you're
I-
talking about here because
Okay.
Tom and I saw it, but the rest of
All
the committee doesn't understand that. And so,
So is there anything you guys could possibly vote on tonight on anything?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions I would like to direct to Gene,
Yeah, go ahead.
if I may.
Absolutely.
And Gene, good evening. I think it's the first time I've
Good
met you.
No, pleasure,
Say again?
pleasure.
Likewise. So you own the building?
Correct.
Okay. How much did you spend before you bought it on engineering analysis?
Got a bill right now for $62,000 on engineering right now.
And that was
Paid
prior
out
to purchase?
30.
Or that
No,
was
just
after
got
purchase?
another bill today for 31,000. So I'm in it for 62,000 on engineering right now. And that's only because Trish is a partner with me, or I'd be running 100,000 right now.
So that's been a running tab as you've been going through the project. It
No, I
wasn't
paid,
upfront.
gave him money as I did. I paid him money there.
Gotcha.
And there was $8,000 in the first $250,000 for engineering, and I gave that to Trish for the historical. So when you gave me 250, he received his 8,000 something dollars right there. Okay.
That 250 was the original 300 that you asked for?
Correct.
Got it. And that original amount, forgive me for getting up to speed on the older stuff.
No, no problem. Go right
But
ahead.
that did not include the east and south elevations of the building?
Correct. And it did not
Okay, so
include
what-
anything. Yeah, nothing to include
As a
81 or
building-
89, no, either. 81 or
Say again?
89. You got to remember there's two properties.
Yeah,
So we
the little one, the one that was
Right.
a
So
pizza
there's
shop?
absolutely not one dime that was used on 81 or 89 to restore, do the facade, raise it. Not one penny was spent on that building to do that. Okay.
So does that building, does that building currently fall under historic restriction as well?
It could have, because we got pictures.
But it-
or-
but it-
and
it
it's
doesn't.
100 years old. So if it's 100 years old, I guess it could have, you know,
Okay,
But not currently.
Not in it.
not currently.
not proven. Okay. I don't know.
Okay,
These guys. I just know it was older than I thought it was. Okay. That's all.
But there are complementary design elements that need to be maintained in order to keep the appearance of the front to be, continue to be considered consistent with each other because they are so closely intertwined together.
understood. I mean, they really are integral.
Yeah.
At that point.
Keep going with any questions. Yeah.
So that 300K did not include anything for the east or south side exterior building envelope.
Correct.
What did it include for exterior building envelope?
It included the windows on the front of the building. okay, which is 89, the big building. So we redid all the repointing on the entire front of the building. The second story on the right picture frame in there, they put in some type of sliding window or stuff in there, and I couldn't get a company that would replace it in one piece. So we actually made the mullions, and we installed 2 pieces of glass tempered to replace that section in there, okay? That all the historical windows on this, they had a board across the front of the arches on all of them. We removed them all the way down Thomas Street and Elm. All the windows, we've been redoing upstairs, not adding wood. We're using stuff from church, which is epoxy injected wood mold and stuff. So we're actually forming the wood and replacing everything completely without a block of wood or stuff. So that includes all the windows on Thomas Street and the front of the building. It included the cupolas that were all messed up on the top of the building up in there, and the soffits with the parapet walls and stuff was all reinforced and redone. On coming down the side, 6 feet off the ground for 120 feet, all the bricks were dissolved from the salt. They were literally dissolved where they were 2 inches in. We replaced over 300, 400 bricks down the entire side of Thomas Street down there. Okay.
Thank you, Cindy. And that was part of the original 300K.
Yes. Yeah. This is all with the phase 1, which are 250,000. Okay. And then we agreed to put in the doors in the front, which I have, and I'm pouring the lobby right now. The lobby is coming out at sidewalk level, but those had to be at floor level where we were up 22 inches. So we're going to pour that this week, and you're going to see by the end of next week, all the glass of the front of that building and the little building is replaced. The new doors are in the front in there. We've acquired bubble glass behind the shutters. They had insulation and stuff in there. That stuff is 1-inch bubble glass in there. We're replacing the bubble glass in there, and we're making the light go straight through to the inside in there. Coming around the back of the building on the east side, it was 100% included, which a bunch of the money was the first floor. The first floor, if you saw any of the plans, that there is the wall actually separated from the building. So we'll use flex straps. That's the companies I worked with down in Old Saybrook in there. We needle the building together, because that's what happens, the facade from extracting, contracting. And on the left side where the parking lot is, we've already needled all the brick back and forth. We took them out from the very bottom and we replaced every single brick back and forth to get us to the first floor. There used to be a roof on an angle on the back of that thing. It took us forever to get it off there. So we have the whole bottom floor painted out in there and stuff. We have the corner. The only thing we have left is the right corner on the east side in Thomas Street. I have that last corner to needle in. I have to reinstall the windows. And I'm going to put storm windows in there with a plexiglass. That's under your 250,000, which include the glass. So right now, by the end of the week, the only thing I'm not going to have done is putting the windows back in, because they're so time consuming. So we're putting them in as we go. You're going to start seeing them all come back in down the building now. Okay. So that was, but that money, that was $500,000 to do that.
Okay.
That cost $500,000 to do that.
Time is sensitive. That does paint a picture of where, what that scope was. And I think concludes questions that I had. That's it.
If I can just
thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, thanks for including that. This is not the most sophisticated way to make a financial decision, but the way I'm looking at it is that we dedicated $250,000 to do 2 sides of this building. The guy has found out he needs to do the other 2 sides to get on the state historical, and that's going to give him advantages and probably give us advantages. We have a chance to continue to partner with Gene and his associates for, let's say, again, for $100,000 tonight. I'm ready to go that route. So let me hear from you guys. The alternative, this meeting is going to end in 10 minutes either way. The alternative is to either have a special meeting, to set up a special meeting, maybe in a month, or to look at the whole thing in 3 months and
Mr. Chair,
see
can I-
what happens there. Yeah, Dan.
So the 100,000 would finish the south and east side?
Yes, I'll give you the whole shell. I will give you the shell. We won't get it. I will finish it. And I won't wait to do this stuff in Hoyoke. We'll do it now. I'll make the call tomorrow and I'll send the lifts in. And
And
we're gonna
according
Well,
do
it's my hometown, so, I mean, but I'd
Pardon?
rather get this job done.
Yes, yes. I mean, with the concert there and everything else, even your art thing, I told them we'll give them the parking lot. We're not gonna charge nothing. I'll
Mr.
pull
Chair,
the
I'll
fa-
make a motion then. I mean,
Yeah,
we could talk till midnight and
No, the
You-
back of the
you
building
only
has
have
to
a
be as
2-hour meeting
marketable
down,
as the
so.
front. And you
I'll
gotta-
make
you
a
gotta
motion to
finish.
approve the 100,000 if that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor for discussion purposes. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. I'll call Mike on the second. Discussion.
If I may, for everyone.
Yep.
So regardless of what happens tonight, there won't be a city council appropriation vote until September on any funding. So
Okay, so
just
so
so
all
everyone,
yeah.
just so everyone's clear, it's ultimately up to the city council, and that won't be happening anytime soon. The summer schedule and everything.
Okay, so what I could say there is all I was asking for is commitment. And I will move forward and nothing will touch the elevator. As far as I'm concerned, you guys back me. I don't do anything without the elevator, without your permission and consent. And I'll give you that right now, okay? Is that I know that at least I can get back the 100 grand when it gets through the city. If it doesn't get approved by the city, I don't hold it against any of you guys, okay? But at least you're telling me I'm not really building at risk because you guys are saying this is a righteous cause. We agree that we need to get the outside of this building done. Let's finish it. And if you guys vote to it, whatever happens after that, then I understand the funding's not going to be there, but at least.
And if you are chasing state money, which you will be chasing, to have a
Right.
little local, another additional contribution, it goes a long way with the state decisions to perhaps award
it does.
themselves. So again, he's estimating 400 grand. The motion is to belly up with 25% of that. Jay, I cut you off. Were you finished?
Well, I think to clarify, it was always my understanding that it wasn't that we funded two sides, but that we restricted two sides. So when they originally came in, they bought this building in the condition it was. They asked for assistance for exterior work. And in exchange for that, this committee said, okay, but we want restrictions on the two sides that are facing the street, historic restrictions.
What did the state
that-
say?
Well, right, but that wasn't tied to the work per se. That was tied to the funding. So the state said, well, we don't like that. We want, a whole building preserved. So we're just going
But
to
didn't
require.
the funding based on a restricted deed? Therefore, it was based on a restricted deed. So
You-
being based on a restricted deed, that put us under the jurisdiction of the state.
Yeah, I mean, the
Okay,
state,
because it was based on a restricted deed. So that means we had to meet the criteria of the state.
the committee required a deed
Yeah.
restriction approved by the state, and the
Yeah.
state required four sides have a
Okay.
restriction on them.
Yeah,
That
Okay.
doesn't.
Okay,
it just
I
means it
agree.
has to be
I agree.
preserved
I
in the
agree, Jay.
historical
I agree.
character.
yeah, I agree. I concur.
Yeah, so the funding, and the historical commission can decide how that gets done or whether it's
Yeah,
historical or
yeah.
not. It's the state's kind of out of it and that piece. So, I'm saying, did you not originally expect work to be needed on these other two sides?
We expected that, these were the words that were said. They were said that this won't be enough money in November. And they said, when they come back again for more funding with the apartments or the other stuff, somebody had said that to us. But we, on the back of the building, we did personally, I had intentions that I thought the city would give us some money on the back of the building because of the condition it was in. Right? Yes. And I understand the city, and I told you need to secure it because there was stuff that was coming down on the sidewalk. So before you guys even gave me any funding, I went in and secured that property because I was the one responsible as an owner. So the second I took ownership, if something falls off that building, I don't care if it's you, the other, I had to secure it. But I thought for sure that we were going in as a partnership and that this is a landmark thing and that this is an historical thing. So I thought the city would definitely say this is worthy of helping them to straighten out this back that was messed up 10 years ago. So that's exactly what I thought. Okay.
Perfect. But you bought it in that condition it was supposedly messed up.
Correct.
So-
Correct. And I'd buy it today, tomorrow, because it's beautiful.
And another question, in your letter, you mentioned community housing, which is a CPA term. Are you planning for future requests under?
Yeah,
that?
I'm asking the city what they wanted because the city said at that same meeting in 2019 that you guys needed high density apartments downstairs. At the time, I never considered the third or the fourth floor. Never considered it. I just considered, let's get the business center, let's get the downstairs rented. When I have rent coming in, then I will move forward to develop the rest of the building, even though the building has to be 100% or at least 3 floors occupied to withstand itself. That's the problems in the past. You can't operate a building that big and only have a third of it full. Okay, but I don't want to use the banks. I'm in there with my hands. I'll build it and put the thing in there, and that's it. So
I think just, for the benefit of this committee, it'd be helpful to know if you plan to come in again for further requests under the
nothing
housing.
with historical. If there was anything available, as far as the housing, the whole thing in the third floor, I don't know. Does the city need more subsidized rent downtown? If the city needs more subsidized rent that I started looking into, then I would dedicate the third floor for subsidized rent, and I'd have some mixed income as we talk to, okay? And I'm asking the city, what do you need? Okay, and I know that when you have nice housing and nice things, I don't care what your status is in the life or the world, you feel good, and it improves on people. So that's it. So as far as the housing, we can ask you, do you need, if you don't, and subsidized will take longer than historical, I understand that. But I'm asking the city, what do you need? If they're not, then I'll just build the apartments up. The apartments are easy for me. There's nothing with this apartments.
If I may.
Yeah, Bill, before I ask,
Anything, yeah.
Bill, before I get to you, Jay,
Yeah.
I count on you, we count on you to pull the reins if we start to wander off of where we shouldn't be. The motion before us is the 100K. Anything illegal, or do you sense any impropriety, or are we rushing too fast on this?
No, I mean, it's within your purview. I just want to, put in the big picture. So, if he's coming back in a year for more money for housing, and if that's part of the plan, I think we should kind of have an idea up front where we're.
That's why I sent you a thing. I sent you a thing for because it's 1.1 million to build out the final part of the building. And I can ask the city doesn't have to do anything with it, but we had to move to the apartments because of the pandemic. Okay. So we had to switch our business plan. So I personally have put the funds together to go ahead and move forward. And if somewhere along the way it says, hey, you're not doing subsidized rent over there, but if you did, we're willing to give you a couple bucks to help you out. If you're willing to make half of those subsidized, okay, we'll talk. Bill, you were going to ask a question?
Gene,
wanted to
you're
point out
taking
that-
over for me. Hey, we got 2 minutes left.
The
We got
chair-
2 minutes, and we're going
Chairman
to
of this
call for a vote.
committee is Mr. Sharp, and I would like to concede to Mr. Sharp at this time.
Okay.
Yes, I'll say it again. I'd very much like to adjourn this meeting within a 2-hour time frame.
Yeah.
Bill, would you like final comments before I call a vote?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we put the right language into this, that it gets done, consistent with what else was done. And my other comment too is don't mistake the fact that this committee represents the city, because we don't. I mean, I've heard all this language floating around the city, this, the city, that. We're not the city.
Yeah, I don't
We're
know
just
that. Well,
the
that's
Preservation Committee.
Oh, see,
So-
I'm not, this is out of my realm. So, okay, so I apologize for that.
You don't have to apologize.
No,
It's,
just thank you for clarifying that for me.
So, Tom, yeah, I would be in favor of this as long as it was done consistent with the other two sides.
which is what is being proposed. They're going to do a great job. I mean, that's so clear from anyone that walks by and looks at the work they've done today. Mike, you okay with this?
Yeah, I'm fine with the motion as it's been made.
All right, I'm ready to call for a vote. Anybody want to stop me before I do? In that case, we have a motion in front of us for $100,000 to continue the exterior work on the is it north and west? I hope I got that right for the motion's sake. The north and west.
It's east and south.
East and south. I got them
East
exactly
and
right.
south.
East and south
Facade.
sides of this building. $100,000. I guess we know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, and it'll be
All
done.
right.
We'll wrap it
All right,
up.
let's call a vote then. I'll start with me. I'll vote yes. Dan,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joe.
No,
We have a no vote, and Rich.
Yes.
The motion carries. Gene, you'll be talking to Jay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for
I'm sorry it
coming
took
in.
so long, guys, and everything, but
It-
you know,
it's a
if
big
there's anybody
project.
that has any questions, right, I really like to refer you to like Sid as a project manager here, and he can give you everything. And you know, I'm just telling you, he'll make it. He goes a lot slower than I do, and he really explains it good for you. Okay.
Gene,
encourage you-
I will
No.
revise the estimate so we can send it back out for more information for
Okay.
the meeting with the city.
Yeah.
Just isolate the historical preservation for those two sides of the building that are being approved tonight for $100,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sydney.
And
I just wanted to ask, Gene, are you still open to giving people tours of the building?
It's
I know
open. It's open
Tom
to
went
any of you
today.
guys. Hey, listen, even during the concerts, you have to understand the air conditioning. Our place is open during the concerts, okay? And we were working on the stuff where we had liquor liability put on the property and stuff too, because we're not waiting. We want to rent it to people that could say, hey, they already have a liquor approval here. We
I just mean for
transfer-
walkthroughs.
But anybody for
committee to walk through
walkthroughs,
to
we're
see
there.
it.
But anything, if
Yeah.
you guys come in, there's bathroom. We are open, and we want to.
Great.
We'd love to see you guys. The art committee wants to have their art show there during the holidays. The first floors are open. I'd love to see the city falls or the other stuff that's there. You know, I mean, we're here for the community, and I'm going to try and keep it that way. Have a barbecue. Anytime any of you want to come by and do anything, just feel free. We are there, and we're going to be there, okay? And we really appreciate the backing and the funding. It means a lot to us, okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah, Phil, Sydney,
Thank
Chris,
you.
thank you for joining us. Gene, thank you for joining us. We're going to move on now, real quick.
Take care, guys.
Status of recommended funded projects. Jay, do you have anything to tell us here real quick?
The Boys and Girls Club is broken ground. What else is new? A women's club is still holding on their restriction. We're holding funds till they get that recorded. And as mentioned, some of the monument work has got underway on the city properties.
Yes.
You've seen that. So not too much else has changed.
Other business?
Just
from,
a housekeeping thing on the last project. So we'll spend down the 50 or 35 left in historic, and we'll dig into the undesignated for 65 to get to that 100.
Yes, thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Thanks for figuring the money part out. Anything future? Anything we need to know about future stuff?
So October meeting, we've often done our public hearing then, but I think we did it later this last year, so we can decide when we want to do that.
Yeah, we'll tackle that in June or whatever next year.
April.
Or what did we do? We did it in March, maybe? April.
Maybe it was April.
All right. All right, any further business for us? Anybody got anything?
Mr. Chair, I have something I'd like to say.
Of course, Joe.
So I've decided to not seek reappointment to the committee. And
You're
I was
breaking
hoping
my
to be able-
heart. You're breaking my heart.
I was hoping to be able to
just
share
show
that
up
in a
for the first time in
in-person-
like years.
I know it was since we went to the whole remote thing, it's like I said, this is my first Zoom meeting. So
yeah.
But I wanted to be able to tell you folks in as close to in person as possible for the current circumstances. So I kind of hope that this meeting would have been in person, but it's not.
So Joe, you're going to be submitting a letter of resignation. Is that what you're saying?
It is, yes. I will let the mayor know, and I wanted to let you folks know in advance that it's been an honor and pleasure to work with y'all, and that I'm not going to seek reappointment.
The honor and your service has been our pleasure, Joe. I mean, you other members of this committee know far better than I, but you've been involved for a long time. You contributed a great deal. So thank you, Joe.
You're welcome, man.
Yes.
It's certainly been an honor. Have they talked about going back to in-person meetings at all?
Yeah, we're thinking about it in September, probably in the fall is when we'll meet in the city hall once again. So Jay, when is our next meeting?
Would be October. What are we at? October 14th.
October 14th.
Second
Jay,
Tuesday.
do you think we'll be meeting in person on the 14th?
Well, that's up to you. So this meeting could have been in person, but
Yeah, we could have. I suspect unless this variant, this thing that we keep reading about, gets nastier, that we probably will. Joe, with that in mind, do you want to wait and do this in a more formal setting, or are you?
Yeah, I would rather be able to see everybody, and if everybody was comfortable, actually shake hands.
Yeah.
All
right.
I just very much an in-person kind of person.
Excellent. In that case, we will get to see you again. So we've scheduled, or at least we're talking about meeting again at 6:30 on October the 14th. Any further business? Motion to adjourn. Can I have that motion?
Motion.
Dan gives me the motion. Cindy gives the second. I will vote yes. Dan, how will you
Yes.
vote? Cindy? Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Rich?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen.